Grant me that only the son of Mahadev will be able to kill me. Mahadev is still mourning for Sati, the god's chorist. Mahadev can no longer remain indifferent. He must engage now. He must produce an offspring who shall be Taraka's nemesis. But Adi Shakti? Adi Shakti has been reborn. Reborn? Yes, Sati has reincarnated and is again burning for Shiva. She alone can induce him to reproduce. The question is, he fell silent. The same words were clanging inside all of them now. Will that hermit father a son? Brahma was fondling the flowers that wreathed the arrows lotus, ashoka, mango, and mallika. Fondling that bough made of sugar cane and its string of honeybees, he smiled. How do you keep these blossoms so radiant, Kamdev? The god of love folded his hands. It's not me, Parampita, it's you. Your vital energy, which created me, keeps my arrows alive. Do you know from which part of my body you have sprung? Your bosom. Indeed, that's why your presiding emotion is love. You emerge from my heart so that you can enter the hearts of others. Nothing gives me greater joy, that twang of my bow, that first flush of love when my arrow strikes someone, that emotion unfolding in them like petal of a flower, leading to a union that creates a new world. Whenever that happens, I become you, Parampita. I become Brahma. You need to do it again. I shall be honored. Who is my target? My arrows can pierce any heart in Brahmand. Can they touch the heart of Mahadev? Kamdeva shrank. His face was wilting. His voice was drying. He was sputtering about Sati's death and Shiva's agony. Mahadev had punished you for your carnality, Parampita, and now you wish to induce the same in him. The Creator informed him about Taraka's boon and the rebirth of Adi Shakti. Adi Shakti has reincarnated. Yes, Kam, they were three sisters. The first one, Kutila, was too arrogant and I cursed her to become a river. The second one was Ragini, too weak. I cursed her to become dusk. And the third one is Adi Shakti, reborn. What is her name? Parvati. Brahma pointed into the distance. There she sits meditating for Mahadev, and only you, Kam, can jolt him out of contemplation. Kindle in him the flames of desire. Make him fall in love once again. Not long ago, Parvati had begun invoking the destroyer. Born to Himalayan king Himvanta and his wife Maina, the princess had left them behind. Her parents had been still grieving for her sisters who had been cursed by the Creator. Maina had beseeched Parvati to stay back, but she reminded her mother of the prophecy attached to her birth. Have you forgotten what the Venerable Narada told you when he saw my astral chart? I am born to be fused with Shiva, to be his eternal consort. I have grown up dreaming about Kailash, seeing visions of myself with Mahadev. He is my destiny, and I must put myself on that path now. Do not mourn, Mother. Bless me that I may realize the meaning of my existence. Scaling the Himalayas, Parvati had begun to propitiate Shiva. Kamadeva was looking at her now. Then his gaze turned fearfully towards Mahadev, that Mahayogi sitting still, his eyes closed, arms taut, body erect, encased in his own sorrow as if a slab of stone was bleeding silently. Kamadeva trembled again. His fingers were refusing to pick up the arrow. but Brahma's word seemed to be holding his hand and loading his bow. For Taraka, he aimed and released. As his shaft winged towards Shiva, bees hummed and the birds cooed. A fragrant breeze began ruffling the destroyer's hair, diffusing through his nostrils, saturating his senses. Kamadeva had conjured spring, the season of mating, of nature copulating. The arrow was infiltrating the god's heart. The four flowers were trying to take root in that chunk of rock, arouse his affection, awaken emotion in that debris of pain. Shiva stirred, opened his eyes, and then he opened his third eye. An inferno leapt and swallowed Kamdeva, charred the birds and all the flowers. The universe quailed, the arrow crumbled. It had not inflamed his passion but instead detonated an explosion. The god of Kailash was raising, generating flames that were scorching the spring. Shiva's yoga had been intruded upon by that shaft of Bhoga, and his blaze was licking every pore of Kamadeva now. What have you done? It was Brahma's cry. As he came rushing, other devas also materialized, lamenting Kamadeva's ghastly end, informing Shiva about Taraka and his boon that were endangering the cosmos. You killed Yama, who presides over death, the Creator said as he shuddered, and now you have killed Kama, whose love begets life. The destroyer sat in silence. Then he got up and walked towards Rati, wife of Kamadeva. She was crouching on the ground, her fists full of ash. Sati and Rati, her eyes poured water. Looks like Agni craves for both. Sati burned then, Rati burns now. But Sati burned and died, Rati will burn forever. No, Shiva touched her head. Kamadeva shall take birth again in Dwapar Yug, and you will be united with him once more. As Rati smeared herself with her husband's remains, Brahma handed the destroyer his Trishul. You must also reunite with Sati now. She has begun rigid austerities. I cannot desire anyone again. I have seen what Maya leads to. But she is your Sati, your own, reborn to never part with you. You had given me the mantra of creation, and now your child alone can safeguard it. The union of Shiva Shakti is everlasting. Let it come to pass, not only to foil Taraka, but also to foster Brahmand. Not yet, not yet. Shiva began watching Parvati, observing how she was meditating on that frigid peak, how she was turning into ice every night and thawing every morning, how she was crushing those whom he had deliberately sent to slur his name, how she was renouncing food and water to survive only on a single leaf a day, how she was gradually forsaking that too to subsist only on his name, how her body was begging to collapse but her zeal was propping it up. Aparna. Parvati did not move. Aparna? She looked. The word was echoing as if the snow was whispering it. Shiva was standing before her. He who had rejected Kama's lust had responded to her love. Her yoga had compelled him to accept Bhoga again. He caressed her in such a way that she no longer felt starved. Aparna? She asked. Yes, you are Aparna, the leafless one. But my parents named me Parvati, my lord. Parvati, Sati, Aparna, Uma. He embraced her. You are all of them, and they are all mine. Parvati and Mahadeva had become one. Shiva and Shakti had reunited. Parvati's mother Maina had threatened to halt their wedding on seeing the groom enter. He had appeared with 3 eyes, 5 faces, and countless arms, mounted on a bull and decked with a snake, matted hair like an anthill, and tiger skin below, coated with ash and high on him. But then Shiva transformed, and his aura had lit up Brahmand, more effulgent now than the sun and the moon, more enchanting than every god, as if all that was sublime had become a part of him. Maina had wept tears of joy and sought forgiveness for lack of vision. Shiva had become Shankar, the hermit had become a householder. The universe had celebrated a new beginning. It was now awaiting an end, Taraka's end.